of EchoStar rallying today to a new all-time high. The stock has risen over 250% in the past year. The satellite and communications company owns a stake in SpaceX, and the Wall Street Journal reporting that SpaceX is considering selling shares at $800 billion valuation, something Elon Musk has denied. So it's time for Overlooked Stocks, and I'm joined by Tsilis, Senior Markets Correspondent, to get us across this one. What are you seeing as far as the reaction in EchoStar, or why are we seeing the gains that we're seeing in this name today?
Well, there's a lot going on with this company. It's kind of a unique and interesting situation for EchoStar, which essentially was the former Dish company. This is back in 2023. If you look at the combined companies now, essentially it's basically a retail wireless business with Boost Mobile. They also have 5G network deployments, broadband and satellite services like Dish Network, and Sling TV also, for those who may be familiar with that pay TV system, is actually EchoStar's product as well. This is a very interesting case, a special situation, let's call it. It really is, because if you look at the last 5 years for EchoStar, it really didn't do anything at all. It was just sort of drifting sideways to slightly down, and then all of a sudden it just woke up out of that dormancy. And this is really a function of monetization of assets on the balance sheet. So one of the things that's been going on with EchoStar is they have been essentially looking to liquidate a large spectrum license, or a spectrum, FCC spectrum that they actually own. If you look at the balance sheet over the last year, they had about $35 billion of assets that are intangible. That's the spectrum that they're starting to essentially monetize now. And then going back to SATS price chart, you'll see back on, I believe it was the 25th or 26th of August, that's where this move started. And that essentially was a function of the deal that EchoStar made with Starlink and SpaceX. Essentially, SpaceX bought a chunk of that $35 billion spectrum for about $17 billion. So it was nearly half of their total spectrum. But the kicker was that they received, out of the $17 billion, about $8.5 billion in cash, but also $8.5 billion in proposed equity for SpaceX. So fast forward to today. In fact, going back to even Friday, on the 5th, you'll notice that there was some news about, SpaceX going public with a proposed, again, this is speculation, valuation of close to $800 billion. So this continuation in the move is certainly a manifestation of the equity ownership stakes that EchoStar has in SpaceX. Now, doing the math, roughly speaking, what I discovered, and again, I'm not saying this is accurate, the approximate stake in SpaceX that EchoStar has is roughly 2.7%. And if you look at the levels, just price relative to where we're at now, contingent upon the IPO, assuming $800 billion, that in and of itself, that equity stake is worth approximately $20 billion. And you have a market cap now of this business at around $23 billion. So this is really a balance sheet play on basically an inflation in the assets on the balance sheet. And one of the interesting things about the story still is if you actually look at the core business for EchoStar, they have a secular decline across all of their segments. Their pay TV, their retail wireless business, their 5G network business, and broadband services all demonstrated revenue declines last year, expecting continual revenue declines next year. And the company also took a $16 billion asset impairment because they're essentially, decommissioning chunks of their 5G network because they had plans to expand it out and start to compete with Boost Mobile against the three larger carriers like T-Mobile, if you will, as well as Verizon, AT&T. But it doesn't look like they're going to do that. And they took a major impairment charge last year because of that.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I suppose it is a good fit for Overlooked Stocks as a segment, because I saw a note out from Citi in recent weeks talking about how it's on its list of 3 stocks that they believe have actually flown under the Wall Street radar this year and could be due for a big gain. So they're turning a little bit more bullish. But good stuff, George. Thank you so much for getting us across this one. We're seeing shares up at 7.3% in trade right now for EchoStar.